Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and in today's video I'll be talking about rogue defensives. I'll be talking about all the rogue defensive cooldowns that we have, as well as other abilities that we can use in a defensive manner. I'll be talking about the pros and cons of each defensive and how to apply them properly, how to use them properly, and how to allow it to flourish to its max potential in order to help you out in your PvP conquests. So let's get on to the video. First defensive is Cloak of Shadows. It makes us immune to the magic effects for 5 seconds and cleans off all magic effects on us. It has a 5-second duration, so the window for use of it is really short. It also has a 1.5 second cooldown, so minute 30 cooldown, making it a bit longer than a 6.1. So how do you use this ability? There's two ways to use it. One is to use it defensively, when you have a bunch of dots rolling and a lot of offensive cooldowns from casters rolling in on you, so you can cancel out about 5 seconds worth of that offensive burst, which gives you enough window in order to survive some crazy onslaught, but also can be used offensively when you're trying to go for a kill. You want to make sure you're not CC'd by magical attacks and magical CC, so you throw in yourself Cloak of Shadows, then go for that kill to make sure you're not going to be interrupted when you are trying to line up a kill. The ability is awesome, but the 1 minute 30 cooldown on it makes it that much more valuable to rogues, as you're trying to get the most value out of it. If you know you can score a kill and you cloak yourself in order to make sure you don't get hodged during your burst, that's a value. If you're trying to cloak all the damage once you have all the dots rolling and a haunt hitting you from the Warlock while he got closed up, that's also value. You're just trying to get the most value out of Cloak of Shadows by deciding whether you want to use it offensively or defensively, and that all depends on the PvP situations. The next ability on this list is one of the greatest abilities in the game, Evasion. It's a great counter for all melee classes, as it gives us 100% dodge to our character, and it has a decent lasting time of 10 seconds with availability to increase it with glyphs. Now this ability is great because it gives us 100% extra dodge. Now the way this works is a misconception with a lot of players. It does not make us immune to all melee attacks. Dodge works only in front of us, in a cone in front of us. It does not work from left, right, or the back. It increases our dodge by 100%, which makes us dodge all melee attacks. But you have to be facing your opponent. You cannot have your back turned to him because you cannot dodge from the back. That is the way you use this ability, and it gives us a 100% chance to dodge. Doesn't make us immune to all melee damage. So that's something you should remember when you use this ability. So if you're going to be using it, face the opponent you're trying to dodge. Don't turn your back to them. Don't use evasion and then run away, because the dodge effect only works in front of you, not anywhere else. The next ability is Combat Readiness, which we get from our talents. It has awesome damage reduction up to 50%, but it can only be triggered by melee. Every time a melee hits you, whether it be with auto attack or an ability, it gets a stack. Each stack provides 10% damage reduction up to 5 stacks max, which is 50% damage reduction maximum. It needs to stack and needs a ramp up time defensively in order for it to work properly, but it's best used in any situations from arenas to battlegrounds where you want to make sure you're not taking full frontal damage. This ability can also be used as a deterrent. Let's say a warrior is trying to line up some heavy damage on you, use Combat Readiness, and even if they do sink damage into you right now, after about 5 hits you're going to have 50% damage reduction, which forces them to be less likely to hit you and swap to another target. This ability has many uses to it, and has like a psychological play on the game. So I feel like this ability is awesome, but it does have a ramp up time which makes it fair. But the damage reduction applies to everything, not just melee attacks. So once a melee character stacks this ability for 5 stacks on you, you have 50% damage reduction to all damage in the game, making it one of the best walls a rogue can ask for. Smoke Bomb is an interesting ability as it gives you line of sight within the area affected with Smoke Bomb. This line of sight is only applied to the opposite enemy faction, where they cannot see inside or cast abilities into the Smoke Bomb or cast abilities outside of it. Now this makes for an interesting defensive ability because you can use it to hide from your enemies to an extent, but this ability has more of an offensive value than a defensive value. Another defensive value that it has is 10% damage reduction, which is great for PvE content, but you'll rarely find yourself using this ability defensively in PvP, because this ability has so much offensive pressure and so much offensive power to it, you'll most likely end up using it offensively. But still, I did want to cover that you can use Smoke Bomb with the 10% damage reduction and LOS mechanic that it does have in the game. Vanish is one of the best defensive abilities a rogue can have, and it serves an offensive pressure as well for combat, assassination, and subtlety, all 3 specs. It gives you a re-stealth unless you glyph it, and then it doesn't re-stealth you. And the glyph can only be applied by assassination and combat rogues. It has a reset mechanic where you allow yourself to reset from your enemy, clearing all movement apparent effects from you, and you can reposition yourself around the enemy, whether you want to get behind them, away from them, or get to another opponent altogether. This ability is probably the best for simply escaping. You vanish and you escape out of the enemy area, whether you're trying to escape from a burst, whether you're trying to simply escape from a CC, or you're trying to escape from the multiples of enemies that are around you. This ability has more than one use for it, and has one of the best defensive and offensive abilities in the game. Prep is the next ability on our list, and it is best of value once Evasion, Sprint, and Vanish are on cooldown, because Prep refreshes those cooldowns. Again, Prep is great and can be applied with multiple different situations, as it gives you cooldowns when you need them, but the best value for it is after Evasion, Sprint, and Vanish are gone. Not all PvP situations are going to force you to play Vanish, Sprint, and Evasion at the same time. Let's say if you're fighting a mage, because you can't really dodge the abilities. So in certain situations you are going to need Prep for other purposes. Prep does have a 5-minute cooldown, so again, that's why I say it's best to use it once all your other coolies are down, so then you get the most value out of the 5-minute cooldown ability. Feint, when talented with elusiveness, which you should be talented for PvP, provides a nice active mitigation. Once used, the ability will reduce damage you take by 30%, as well as 50% damage reduction for AoE abilities, which there's plenty of within World of Warcraft. You should apply Feint at all times before using any of your defensive abilities, as your defensive abilities have so much value but at the cost of 2-minute cooldowns at most of them. This is why you use Feint early, in order to make sure that if there is some sort of damage that you can stave off with 30% damage reduction where you don't have to use combat readiness. This gives you more value for combat readiness later down the line. This ability should always be stacked with your defensive cooldowns, as well as it overall provides you more damage reduction, especially if you pop combat readiness, get 5 stacks, pop Feint together for 80% damage reduction. Burst of Speed and Sprint allow you to run away from combat, and that's simply what you should be using as a rogue if you can. Simply being able to run away from enemies' burst is much better than having to use a combat readiness or evasion or cloak of shadows just to stop them from bursting. This way you save a cooldown and you allow an enemy to use offensive abilities with no value to them when you simply run away from the damage that they are about to deal. Now this is something you should be applying to yourself as a rogue, so if there's a chance where you can simply kite and run away from the enemy damage, you might as well do it, because that is probably the best damage mitigation in the game, by simply not taking damage when you're not close enough to the enemy. So that is something you should have in the back of your mind when you are playing a rogue. If there's moments where you can simply run away from combat, you might as well use the advantage you can get out of it. So that's something you should be using as a rogue yourself, and just keep that in the back of the mind. So hopefully guys, this has helped you, and hopefully this has cleared some misconceptions when it comes to rogue defensive abilities. My name is Dalrin. Let me know if you want to see any more videos like this on any kind of simplistic guides on rogues, and I'll definitely make a video on it to help you guys out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.